Welcome to Gen X TrustFall, the podcast dedicated to planned and unplanned midlife changes and the ability to trust in the unknown. I'm Carla Loomis. In today's episode, I chatted with Chico girl Wilson Freitag about how our aging parents are excellent liars. Later, I spoke with Peggy Callahan about what kept her going through the sudden death of her husband. Thanks so much for listening. I hope you enjoy. I think you and I grew up very similarly with our parents in very similar situations with the dad works, the mom stays home. You guys had one more kid in the family than we did, but one girl, the rest boys. I know that your brothers are really good. My brothers are really good about helping out, but it all falls to the daughter, like especially with the mom. The boys don't want to help the mom get dressed.
Like, they're not quite at that stage, but they're getting there, you know, and I'm also the only one in town or close proximity to them.
Right.
I'm struggling more with, let me help you.
Yeah. Yes.
Oh no, you're so busy. And I'm not busy.
Yeah.
You know?
Yes.
I could help her.
Yes.
Or him. And I'm happy to help my dad too, but my dad is we just have a funny relationship. So,
yeah.
You know. I don't know how that's going to go when he finally needs more help.
Yeah. Well, you know, I think
he might not get it from me. It might be from my brothers. Right.
It's been interesting. And so, like, when I knew that you and I were going to kind of talk about this or at least have this conversation, I looked it up on my favorite website, AI, you know, my friend I. The practical advice that I is giving me right now is not. The first thing is to have open conversations. Well.
Yeah, no, I get that. Because first of all, they don't tell you the truth.
Exactly.
They don't, you know, I kind of get it a little bit. They've been independent. We're their children, you know, and they don't want to admit. Who wants to admit that you can't do what you used to do? I get that. But, geez, just want to know, what is your plan? Do you want to go to a home?
Yes.
Would you prefer to stay in your home?
Yes.
My dad automatically goes to, we're not there yet. You know, we're fine.
Yeah.
Or has even in the past, not this time, but in the past has mentioned, you guys just want my inheritance. But, no, we don't. That didn't come up. But
not to mention,
you know,
you're totally successful without his inheritance. Like you're already retired. You're fine. You don't need his inheritance.
Right.
So what you're saying, like they don't tell the truth, that's a really nice way of saying, like.
Yeah, well, that same thing happened. My dad fell, and once my mom finally told me he fell in the backyard, and I think this was more like a week later.
Yeah.
She said it took him a half an hour. It took them a half an hour to get him into the house. My mom and him figured it out.
Right.
That probably meant 2 hours.
Yes. Yes.
And I'm just like, I don't understand why you don't call me. I'm 25 minutes away and can be less if you need me faster, you know, or I could call 911 for you or whatever.
Yeah. I think that's why I had teenagers years ago was, I have to decipher the lies now. Like, I'm back to, I remember that look on my kid's face when they were lying to me, and now that look is on my parents' face when they're lying to me. And it's, so I think that was a good prep, at least, because it's the same. It's different lies, but the same.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. It's the circle of life. They're coming back around, and we're now taking on that parental role, and they're now taking on the kid role. But with my mom, she's such a people pleaser.
Yeah.
He will say one thing to me and something completely different to not only one brother, but several brothers. And so, like, the biggest issue right now is we had a brunch for Katie. So it was our family and Jackson's family. We hadn't all met each other, so we wanted to meet each other. And it was in the Bay Area. Getting them to the Bay Area safely. They want to drive.
Oh, gosh.
Right?
Yeah.
So they're telling one brother, oh, yeah, we can do it. And then another one says to another brother, oh, I'm really tired. And so I set up, I'm going to look, because we were already in Santa Cruz. So we needed to get them down here. And I said, Christy has offered to pick you guys up and take you to the train station. And we will pick you up.
Yeah.
Yeah. This is where we'll pick you up. But, they didn't want to do it because my dad said sometimes the train gets delayed. So what? You get to sit on the train.
Yeah. Don't have to drive.
Enjoy the scenery.
Yes.
You don't have to drive.
Yeah.
Instead, they insisted on driving. Our compromise was that they had to stay overnight at Jim's house.
Oh. So,
didn't do both ways on the same night.
Yeah.
But they drove.
Wow.
Both of them are still driving, and it makes me nervous.
Yeah, it is. It's stressful.
I can track my mom because the find your phone thing.
Oh.
So I made her let me do that. So, it's not going to prevent an accident, obviously, but at least I can find her if, she doesn't come home, I'll know where she is.
Yeah. The other thing that, I know that you and I have in common is that our fathers are hoarders. Right?
Oh, my goodness.
There's a hoarding component, and that I'm really curious about. I haven't really studied it. I do think, I've learned about hoarding, but it's just so interesting, to get to that age and start hoarding.
Mm-hmm.
It
is. It baffles me too. I do not understand it because he's not hoarding just what he hoards even. He'll go to discount stores and thrift stores and buy, I don't know, glasses and towels and stuff they do not need.
Yeah.
To me, anyway, I don't understand it.
Yeah.
And it's all, it's sad. And it just made me so sad going into his bedroom because it was everywhere.
Yeah.
There was one little path. Carla, it was even on the bed.
Ugh.
And it's I think he sleeps on one half of the bed, and I can't imagine him moving all that crap off his bed every night.
Yeah.
And then putting it back up.
And this is brand new stuff.
Most of it. No, well, okay, except for what he gets from the thrift store.
Oh, okay.
But Carla, there was stuff. So they have a walk-in closet also full of just stuff. And there was something, dishes or something that probably I don't even need. So maybe I have a little of this in me too. I'm like, oh yeah, those are cute. And I thought, if I take those, he probably will know.
Oh.
I feel like he knows. I should have done it just to see if he said anything.
Yeah.
Well, maybe I'll do that next time I'm over there. Just go grab something and see if he suspects.
Yeah. It is
But
strange.
the boys want to just come up and clean it all out. And I'm like, I don't think you can just do that. I think that might give him a panic attack.
Yeah. Well, and it gives him all this free space to fill it up again. You're not solving the problem of taking it all away because
True.
There's something else going on, right? For sure. But so my dad hoards memories, he takes whoever has died in the family and keeps it. We went over to his garage, and there were 5 printers that nobody uses. Mm-hmm. 5. There were 4 sets of golf clubs. And these are just from relatives that have died. So he took the golf clubs or inherited them. He didn't take them, but they're just sitting there doing nothing, rotting.
It's like if I get rid of this, I'm getting rid of this person. I can almost understand that a little bit more than just random stuff. I don't know.
It's a mystery, and I always wonder, which one am I going to be? Am I going to be the hoarder who's keeping, an old vacuum, or am I going to be, but more like my mom, no, I'm fine, leave me alone.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I hope I'm more like that, because the kids and I were talking, and they talk about it, and Katie said, well, since we don't live in Sacramento, at one point you'll probably come and live with us. And I was like, cool, I'm ready to do that.
Yeah, yeah,
Russell was horrified. He goes, your mother wants to be in her own house. You're not going to take your mother. And I'm like, no, I don't. Sit me outside in the backyard, hand me a glass of wine. I'll just sit there. I don't care
yeah,
where I am.
yeah,
At least I'll be close to my kids,
yeah, yeah,
you know?
yeah.
Because, of course, with my husband being 12 years older than me, we figure, because
Right.
Katie's plan is that I'll take care of him, and then she'll
Oh,
take care of me.
yeah,
I'm like, okay. And Russell goes, unless you go before me. And I go, well, that could happen.
yeah.
But,
Well,
but he's like, no, she's going to stay in this house forever. And I'm thinking, okay. I just
so
go,
you
okay,
haven't
sure.
you
sure.
haven't told him about our plan, our ultimate plan. When,
That has come up,
okay,
but he doesn't believe that. No, he doesn't believe that.
okay.
He also thinks that when we both die, the kids are going to come here to live because they'll own a house here.
What?
And I'm like, no, the kids are going to sell every piece of property we own here
Yes.
and buy a house where they live.
Yeah.
Neither one of them are ever coming back to Sacramento.
Yeah.
Well, I'm about 95% sure.
Wow. But that's okay for him to believe that. That's fine.
Yeah, and that we just have to kind of let him believe it.
Yeah. I think there's
because that's part of his legacy that he wants to leave to his kids.
Exactly.
I'm leaving all these properties to them.
Yeah. Well, Susan, I just want to thank you so much for having this conversation with me, and maybe next time we'll talk about something else besides our parents. And
I don't know. I think this is an endless conversation.
it is.
You know what I mean? There's just
Yeah.
every day something new comes up.
I know I held back with this conversation. I love AI for some things, but for him to tell me that, have an open conversation with your parent, not happening ever. No matter what. Not to mention, you have to repeat it 6 times because they can't hear what you're saying the first time. So it's exhausting. So I feel this could be we could talk about this every single time, but next time maybe we'll pick
okay, we'll
something else.
We'll do something different.
Yeah.
All right.
I do appreciate
well,
you
good. I
coming
mean, I
on
can
here
now. You're welcome. I can now click on the link and actually get it to work.
Yeah.
And okay, I probably shouldn't be recording when I say this, but I thought Apple AirPods only worked with Apple products. I had no idea they'd work on my computer, my PC.
Oh, look at that. Look what you learned today.
And when you said that, I'm like, okay, well, I just looked up, how do I hook my AirPods up to, and it showed me. I'm like, okay.
Yeah. See, that's what AI is good for.
And it worked.
Yes, it did. Yeah. I know. And you sound fabulous, by the way.
Oh, good.
You sound really good.
You have a good recording voice.
Thank you.
So you'll be because you know how the podcast, if the person's voice is off a little bit,
yeah.
I don't know about you, but I have a hard time. I will skip that one.
Yeah, yeah.
But I would listen to your podcast for sure.
Excellent. So I have introduce yourself and talk about yourself a little bit.
My name is Peggy Callahan. I live in Memphis, Tennessee. I was not born here. I was raised in California. And when I was about 30, the company I was working for offered me an opportunity to move to Memphis. And I decided to do it. My parents were super supportive, and they said, you don't like it, you can always come home. So I knew I had that option. I liked Memphis, and I liked the company. I slowly settled in. I bought a house and made friends. And then one of my siblings, my brother John, moved to Memphis also, or he came to visit me and ended up staying. And so it was a good experience for me to move across the country and be by myself and learn to make friends and get involved in the community. And my company decided that they needed to move to southern Georgia. And I decided I wasn't interested. I had bought a house and I had family now. and Georgia was just a little bit too far away. And so I took that step, which was hard, but I took that step and found another job. I went to work for a bank in their marketing department. And through that job, I met my husband, someone I worked with. Her husband was a good friend of Mike's, and she said, "Why don't you meet him?" And so they set up a blind date. Our first date, we went to a restaurant, and the waitress was my husband's cousin. So I learned very quickly that my husband, since he had been in Memphis for 5 generations, was related to all kinds of people. And so that was another, now I had more family. We did get married. And so my family grew. My husband had 2 kids already, Robert and Kelly, who were in elementary school. And then we quickly had 2 more children, Maggie and Patrick, and settled into being a mom. I was able to quit my job or go on maternity leave and then quit my job. And then I found another job, which was with the Hotel Association. And I stayed at home. So I got to be a full-time at-home mom and had a part-time job. And it worked really well. I was a good stepmother and a good mom. And so we did that for a number of years, and things were good. Then when my youngest was in junior high school, I was offered an opportunity to go to work for the university. And I was an academic advisor for a hospitality program, which was kind of what I had been doing before when I was working part-time. And so I did that. And so we did that for about almost 8 years, I guess, when my husband suddenly died. And my world fell apart. My kids were great. They were super supportive. We all went through it together. And it was then that I said, okay, I'll work until I'm 65, and then I will retire and stay at home and do more things that I wanted to do. So that's kind of where I am now. I retired in January, so this is my first year. It's been great. I was also able to sell my house in Cordova, which is a suburb, and move to Midtown Memphis. And I live next to my brother John and his wife, and behind my mom, who is 92. And so that's kind of my world at the moment. I travel a ton, and I'm having a great time.
Wow. So let's back up a little bit. Just so before you moved to Memphis, where were you living?
I was living in Sacramento.
Okay.
When I graduated from high school, I went to Sacramento for 1 year at Sac State, and then I moved to Chico.
Okay.
And got my degree in Chico.
In journalism.
Worked for journalism.
Okay.
I worked for the Forest Service for a couple of years. I started as an intern and then stayed for a little while. And then I moved back to Hollister just kind of temporarily, and I worked for the freelance.
Oh, okay.
As a reporter. There's no money in journalism.
Right.
And,
right.
And I didn't want to stay in Hollister.
Yeah.
So I took a totally different job through my Aunt Carol. She had a coworker whose husband worked for the state of California.
Uh-huh.
And he and another guy owned a data processing company, and they needed somebody. And so total, turnaround for me. Yeah. I went to work for them and learned to run a business.
Oh, okay.
And was totally out of journalism.
Okay.
For several years.
Yeah.
And then I went back to work, and I worked for Calgene, which is a agricultural biotechnology company, which was in Davis.
Okay. So you were up in Northern California mostly.
Always. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I never lived south. And with Calgene, even though I was an operations person and customer service, we dealt with farmers. But we had a newsletter, and I had lots of contacts with the advertising agency. So it was kind of a journalistic piece of my job.
Yeah.
Is that I did right.
So you used a lot of those skills that you had in this job. Uh-huh.
And communication. I mean, that's what journalism is communication.
Right.
And so I communicated with farmers. And
Yeah.
so it's a whole new thing for me in that I had to learn a crop and talk about a crop to farmers.
Yeah.
Well, things just kind of fell into my lap.
Yeah.
And the job at Calgene, I got that position because I knew somebody on the inside, and she said, hey, I wasn't happy with the job that I had. And she said, hey, here's a secretarial job in the sales department.
Right.
And so I went with a secretarial job, which evolved into a customer service position and operations manager.
Yeah. Interesting.
And then the same thing was, and then I popped around. I mean, after Mike and I got married, I popped around a little bit and then decided to stay home and have a baby. I needed to have something.
Yeah.
Both for my own, we needed the money, but I needed to have some outside thing going where I talk to people. I just couldn't stay at home.
Right.
And through a friend, I found out about this position with the Memphis Hotel and Lodging Association, and I was the executive director. And so I ran an organization, so running a business, and I did newsletters and communicated with people and put together programs and organized golf tournaments and seminars and all kinds of stuff.
Yeah.
As a stay-at-home mom.
Right.
And so it was the best of both worlds because I had things to do and I talked to people all the time.
Yeah.
But I also got to stay home with my children and be that stay-at-home mom for my stepchildren also. Their mom worked full-time.
Okay.
And so it really was the best of both worlds.
Yeah. 30 years ago, that was kind of probably somewhat of a novelty. Like I had friends, because I was a teacher, I got to do the same thing. I worked night school, and my husband and I played tag team. He got home from work and I went to work at 6 p.m. But I was really lucky because a lot of my friends didn't have that. They had to put their kids in daycare and they hated it.
Exactly.
And so, but I think today's world, it seems like there's a little more flexibility than there was back then.
And then going to the university, because of my position with the Hotel Association, I knew the dean of the College of Hospitality because he was on the board.
Right.
And so he's the one who came to me and said, it was this kind of happenstance. We both traveled to a meeting across the state together, and he drove and I just rode along and we got to talking. And he said, would you ever be interested? Like, yeah. I had one of the drawbacks with the Hotel Association was, one, I worked at home and I was a contracted employee.
Right.
I had no benefits.
Yeah.
And as a contracted employee working at home, you work 24 hours a day. You just do.
Right.
You just do.
Right.
And so I was I was tired of running the same golf tournament every year.
Yeah.
The same, some of the same things.
Yeah.
Plus we had my husband's health benefits, which were expensive. And so here was an opportunity for me to get, a cheaper health benefits, which were great because it's a state.
Yeah.
And also having a more of a set schedule. I went to work at 7:30 and I got up at 4:00.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I didn't take stuff home.
Right.
Which is before with the Hotel Association, I worked 24 hours a day.
Yeah.
And in hindsight, just, years later with my husband dying, I had this something locked in. I had the health insurance and I had that stuff.
Right.
Behind me already. And so it was very comforting to know that I was being taken care of.
Right.
And I wasn't just because I had other friends whose husbands had the health insurance.
Right.
And something happened and then they had nothing.
Yeah. Yeah. It's
and
almost
so I was
like
super fortunate.
Almost like fate that you
exactly
changed that job. Yeah. I have a story. So your sister and I have been best friends. We determined that was probably since age 7. So I think we met when we were 7 years old and became really good friends. Like, I don't remember any part of my life without Anne in it. None. I don't. She's just like part of my family. Like I remember always having my brothers, and I remember always having Anne. And I think she's only gotten like really mad at me once in our whole friendship. And we were like, I don't know how old. I want to say 10 or 11 maybe. And I don't know when you moved out. What's the age difference between you and Anne?
8 years, 8.5 years.
8.5 years. Okay. So we had to be 10 or 8, 9 or 10 or something. But I was spending the night at your house, and I think we were sleeping outside in your backyard on the lawn, and you had gone on a date, and you came home, and you guys were sitting in your family room, the one like off the kitchen, right? And you were watching TV with your date, and you must have been 17 or 18, and we were spying on you to see if we could see you making out, right? And kissing this guy on your couch. And so as we're watching you, I made a comment something like, gosh, I don't see your sister ever getting married. And she took it as, I don't think your sister is like marriage material. And okay. I meant it like, I don't think, the way I actually meant it was, your sister does not need a man. And like, it was a compliment, because I think Mary Tyler Moore was like one of the big shows at the time. And I loved her. Like, I loved that she was the single woman. She lived in her own apartment. She was just this independent person. And Anne took it the complete opposite. Like, I meant it as a compliment. She took it as an insult. And so that was one of the few times that she ever got mad at me and was so insulted. But to me, it was like the highest compliment you could give a woman. Like, I don't think she's ever going to get married. And it was totally like, because she's a badass. That was the, the underlying message of that was, your sister's a badass and does not need a man. So I don't mean to make light of like the situation or anything, but to me, it seems like you were you were Mary Tyler Moore, right? Like, you were in journalism, you were independent.
I was, because I didn't get married till I was 36.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I did a lot while I was single, and I was happy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I wanted to get married and have kids, but I was also happy. And so if that didn't happen,
right,
that was going to be okay.
Right.
And now I have other friends who are widowed and now remarrying, or divorced and remarrying again. And right. I just think I don't need that to happen to me.
Yeah.
If it does, fine, but I don't need someone else to make myself happy.
Right. When you met your husband, tell me about that a little bit.
We didn't really have many friends in common. We were both from big families. Mm-hmm. We were also both involved in our churches.
Okay.
And I was raised in the church, and that was part of our family, and that's what we did. Through college and after college, that remained something. Every time I moved, I would find a new parish.
Okay.
And then I started, dating. I dated several guys who I really, thought a lot of, but they were not involved in the church. Mm-hmm. And I didn't see them as becoming involved with me.
Right.
And so that kind of, limited some of it, and things just, turned around anyway. And so I didn't date those people anymore. But Mike was involved with the church. He's Catholic and I was Episcopalian. But something about his involvement, and because he was already a dad, it was we weren't swinging singles because he had children.
Yeah.
And we were both settled into our jobs. We both owned houses. We both, had that kind of stuff. I probably was more worldly than he was because he didn't travel much. And I mean, I just traveled from being a small child because I had grandparents, and
Yeah.
that's just what we did.
Yeah.
And so I think he enjoyed things that I would, you know, drag him along to go do and see. And we were both social. And when we did go out for like business things for either one of us, he knew a lot of people just because he had been in Memphis all his life.
Yeah.
And so and so that was neat. I don't know that it was love at first sight or, we were both gaga over each other, but it seemed like a really comfortable relationship, and we could see each other living together forever.
Was he going to retire at the same time as you? Like, were you talking about retirement together or?
Mike was in the insurance business, and so it was really it was really self-employed.
Okay.
For the most part. And he looked at his job really as a vocation, and he would get to know and be very close to his clients. Mm-hmm. And I seriously never thought if he would retire ever.
Oh.
In the insurance business, he worked for Northwestern Mutual, which is a life insurance company. Uh-huh. And you can go into a retirement phase, but you can keep your clients.
Right.
And you can do more. You can still, get new business and stuff. He was just that person. All during COVID, he never stayed at home. He went to his office.
Yeah.
So I could see him having an office forever. And so
Right.
he had someplace to go.
Right.
And he would keep up with his clients and stuff. So no, I never expected him to totally retire.
Yeah. Your dad was kind of the same, right? Like he always, she said that even when he was experiencing, dementia towards the end, that he would talk about going to work all the time, that he was going to work.
He had to close the deal.
Yeah. Do you feel like there were events in your life that kind of prepared you to deal with that?
Well, because I was single for so long, I knew that I would be okay by myself.
Yeah.
I wasn't so dependent on him.
Yeah.
I did have a job, and I stayed with my job for a couple more years. Luckily, at the university, they were extremely accommodating. Mm-hmm. Do whatever you need to do, and just, if you want to work at home, fine. Just do whatever you want.
Yeah.
Because my husband was a life insurance agent, he left me well. Mm-hmm. I had life insurance from him and his retirement and all that kind of stuff. So financially, I'm great. I think what really has helped me a lot is the relationships I have with other people in the church, but also in other organizations. My dad was always in an organization, and I was kind of brought up that way. And from a young age, I was in Job's Daughters, I was in Girl Scouts, I was in, when I was in high school, I was in AFS and all these things. And for me, that's kind of my fallback, in that I like to be involved in something. And when my kids were growing up, I was with the home and the PTA and all that kind of stuff. And I think that that's been my lifesaver, in that I was already involved. I was in an organization called Daughters of the American Revolution, and my chapter was just right there for me. Right. I also have several good friends who also, because of the church, that's kind of where I got to know them. I also had that support group. And so for me, it's being involved or have those organizations to fall back to, and they were my support system.
Yeah. I think for anyone that kind of finds themselves single, right? It could be a divorce, like you said, some of your friends, or the death of a spouse, or even, an illness of a spouse. Some of our spouses of my friends, some of our spouses are going to be getting sick and so I think, I think that's really smart, because I'm kind of the opposite of you in that, and I don't like it. I don't think it's I think it would be much healthier for me to be involved in organizations or something, and I don't know what it is about me that dreads it. Like, I don't know what. I'd have to analyze. I'd have to go back to therapy and analyze.
And the I belong to an athletic club, and so I go to a class, and I've just changed classes. But the class that I'm in now, some of these people have been together for a little while, and so they do support each other. And
Yeah.
the first class I went to, they were talking about a lady who had to have surgery, and they put together a card for her, and then, so I asked the next time I went, how is this person, and so just and it makes you kind of accountable to being there because you
Yeah.
creating a relationship with the people that you're working out with.
Yeah.
So you know that if you don't go, then they'll say, "Excuse me, but where were you?"
Right. Right.
And so I'm at the moment I probably am overcommitted. I'm in a Bible study and I'm playing pickleball and I go to the Orpheum, which is our local theater, and I usher there. And I'm in another women's organization where we serve tea and stuff. And so, but for me right now, that's kind of my job. I need
Yeah.
to have things on the calendar to go do, or else I will sit and play solitaire on my computer all day.
Well, I was going to ask, do you ever just like burn out? Do you ever just like close the door, close all the blinds, and have a good cry and just let it, you know what I mean? Like just kind
Yeah.
of fall apart and then gather. What's your process?
I fall apart for a little while and then I go for a walk or just start moving again.
Yeah.
You can't stay there forever and it's not good for you. And so you just have to, kind of suck it up again. And being a religious person, I have, I can pray and I know that God loves me. And so you just pick up and keep moving.
Yeah. I feel like you're the mom that your kids can depend on like 100%. And
yeah.
I cannot claim to be that mom all the time. Like, especially recently, I have like lost my shit quite a bit. And sometimes they see me falling apart. And so maybe I would say I'm like 80%, but to me, you seem like a rock, just the rock 100%.
I think that they look at me and say that, yes, because I travel and I do things, but I'm there for them if they need me. And I try to go see all of them as much as I can.
Yeah.
But I try not to take over their lives. I don't want to do that.
Yeah. It's a fine line though, sometimes, right? It's difficult.
It is. And you just kind of have, and I think I learned that from my parents.
Yeah.
You could tell my parents almost anything.
Yeah.
And they, most of it was on the phone, Dad, this is what's going on, da 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 da. They weren't really there to give you advice.
Mm-hmm.
More so just to let you talk and you make your decision and they'll just kind of, go along,
Yeah.
They were the sounding board. They might ask questions and stuff, but they were not there to solve your problem.
With your parents, and again, Anna and I talk about this sometimes, like your parents were the best example of a marriage. And because like they were a team. And
yes.
I didn't know, I mean, I knew them obviously, but from the outside, I knew they were a team. And most marriages, I mean, I hate to say it, but most marriages are not like that. That's a very unique thing, especially for people our age looking at their parents. I don't have any friends that would look at their parents and say, "Oh, I want a marriage just like that." I don't have any.
One of the things my mother said early on was to pick your battles. What's super important? What's that one thing that your spouse cannot cross the line on?
Yeah.
And for me, just a small example, with guns. I don't like guns. And so Mike said something about getting a pistol or whatever it was.
Yeah.
And I said, no, absolutely not. That's the end of that conversation.
Yeah.
You can do other things, but that's one of those that I cannot.
Yeah.
You can't cross that line.
Yeah.
I did let him get a BB gun. That was it.
He'll shoot your eye out.
Squirrels.
Oh my gosh. That is awesome. I love that.
But then I looked at other things. It's okay. I don't necessarily agree with you politically all the time, but that's okay.
Yeah.
I mean, what you do when you go into the voting booth is your own problem, not mine.
Yeah. Is there anything that surprised you in the aftermath, or even looking back from today that
I don't think that I fell apart that often. I think I
mm-hmm,
was more numb,
mm-hmm,
and the whole thing just didn't seem real.
yeah,
And not that, I mean, Mike didn't travel much, and so it wasn't like he was on a trip or something.
right,
It was just the whole thing, it was just that this doesn't make sense.
yeah,
I just was numb for a long time. And so I think I didn't have a lot of emotion
yeah,
because I was just so numb.
I
You hear
get
of
that,
other
yeah,
people who don't get out of bed for
yeah,
a couple of weeks.
yeah,
That never occurred to me. I would rather get up and go for a long walk or something. I'm not going to sit in bed.
right,
Or
right,
drinking a lot. I don't think I mean I still do drink my wine every night, but I don't drink a lot.
yeah,
And so I don't feel like my lifestyle, or eating or what I don't think I put emotion into something else.
yeah. Well, I think you had healthy habits up
Hmm.
to that point, and those habits, I think, are your coping skills, right? Like those are
Right.
everybody has the choice of coping in a healthy way or coping in an unhealthy way. And
Yeah.
a lot of times we think that the unhealthy ways are going to soften the sadness, but it just exacerbates them,
Oh yeah.
you
Yeah.
know?
I think for me I needed a schedule. I needed to be, go I was exercising already, so it was like, okay, continue to go to your workout. Everybody, where I worked out knew what was going on, and so I had that support too. And you went to church, so keep going to church. I just kept doing the things that I did anyway.
Right. So where have you traveled to? Like,
Well, recently I've gone out of the country, and so I went to a Christmas market tour in December with a girlfriend, and then Anne and I went to London. And then I just got back. Well, I went to Greece in
oh
September.
my gosh.
But prior to that, I mean, soon after Mike died, I went up to Pittsburgh several times because I have a girlfriend who lives there, who her daughter and Maggie, my youngest daughter, are best friends. And so Kristen and I kind of did a lot of things together for a long time.
Uh-huh.
And then go to see my kids.
Yeah.
And so it was like, anything I could do. Went out to California a couple of times. And so I was just on the move.
Yeah.
If I could, I bought a plane ticket and I would just go.
I think that's great.
And now I have friends. I just went to Bible study today, and I sit at this table, and one of the ladies says, "So, what's your next trip?" I said, "Well, as a matter of fact, I just booked plane tickets to go to the Rose Bowl parade because I'm with Daughters of the American Revolution, and we have a float in the parade.
Oh my gosh.
And so I'm going to volunteer to help put the float together.
How cool.
And then go and sit in the grandstands and watch the parade. I've never seen the parade in person.
Yeah. Oh, how fun.
So I'm going with a group. I think there are 10 of us from Tennessee that are going. It's like, this is an experience of a lifetime.
Yeah.
I mean, I can't. And then from there, on New Year's Day, I'll fly to San Jose, and then I'll get to see family.
Oh, good.
Get there for a week.
Yeah.
So I'll do
how
that.
fun. Well, I was going to ask you what your superpower is, but I think I've kind of so far, I don't know if I should take that question off my questionnaire, because the 3 people that I've interviewed, I'm like, I already know what your superpower is. I don't really need to ask you. But what would you say is your superpower?
Being flexible and taking
yeah
what comes. This Greece trip actually was was a religious pilgrimage, and I knew the priest because he's from here in Memphis, and I'd seen it advertised for maybe 5 months, and I was like, I don't know. And then a friend of mine said she and her husband were going to go, and I thought, I like them. They're a lot of fun. And so I called the company and said, okay, I want to do this trip, but I would like to have a roommate.
Yeah.
And she said, well, somebody else is looking for a roommate too. Here's her name. Well, it turned out I knew her.
Oh my gosh.
She was also from Memphis. And so it's like, okay, in the end, the roommate situation fell apart. And I didn't have a roommate, but I didn't have to pay for it because they had to back out at the last minute.
Oh.
Anyway, there were like 3 or 4 couples on the trip that I knew
Yeah.
that also had known Mike. And so they were not going to let me be a single person. They were going to drag me along to everything that they were going to
Yeah.
do.
Oh, that's
And
great.
so, like going out to lunch or going to shopping, it's like, come on, Peggy, you're going to come with us. And
Yeah.
so, but it was very much kind of a last minute, okay, I could do this.
Yeah.
So I didn't really think about it too much.
Yeah.
And I just did it.
Yeah.
And so, but having, being retired and having the flexibility, I mean, I do keep in mind that, I do have my mom. And
Yeah.
so mom depends on John and I
Yeah.
a lot. And I don't want to overdo John. I mean, he has
Yeah.
his life too.
Yeah.
And so I do kind of try to pick and choose or, kind of clear it with them. Another, for me, a support system are my siblings.
Yeah.
They're all great.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we're all very close. And I have we really get along very well.
Your parents did something right, for sure. Well, they did a lot of things right. But Ann and I talk, at least once a week, but I know how close all of you guys are. And it changes everything, especially when your parents are aging. It makes such a difference to be on the same page, to be helping each other out, to have someone else make a decision that maybe you don't want to make by yourself about one of your parents or something. It really is, so nice, because not everybody has that.
No. Right. When Dad was, like a week or so before Dad died, David was out. He and my Auntie Emmy both of them were here.
Uh-huh.
And Dad was going through a really hard time.
Yeah.
And David was going to be leaving. He says, okay, y'all can't do this by yourselves.
Yeah.
You need to get more help.
Yeah.
So it was kind of like the permission that we needed.
Yes.
To go on. And so we did start the process to, we were going to move him to a facility because we just couldn't do it.
Yeah.
But then he fell into a coma and died. And so I think that he heard us talking.
Oh, yeah.
They're going to put me away. I'm going to go first.
I could see Ed doing that. Yeah. That doesn't.
Yeah.
But to have your siblings, there for you, knowing that someone has your back, and it really is something that I hope I pass on to my kid. Someday we're going to be gone and you two will have each other, and you don't need to explain anything to them. You don't need to justify. You don't need to be someone else. You can just be the older sister, the younger sister, whoever you are, whether they like it or not. The last 5 years, my brothers and I have become so close, and I didn't foresee that happening, but it really is like, it's a gift. That is a gift that your parents gave you, whatever they did,
For Ann and I, we're 8 years apart.
Yeah.
We could have easily have not been close.
Yeah. And you guys are so different. I definitely see similarities, but your personalities are so different. But it works. Together, you guys work.
We're very close, yeah.
Yeah, I know. I think it's great. And I always wanted a sister and never had one. So Anne's like my sister, and she and I are very different. Like, we have a lot of we have common memories, but very different. She's the yin to my yang, or whatever that saying is. So I really appreciate you talking to me. I know this isn't the easiest topic.
But one of the things that I've thought about, watching the news, and it's been probably a couple months ago, they talked about men being depressed and, the suicide rate and stuff. It's like, okay, we can't be all by ourselves all the time.
Yeah.
And I think that our society, we are so wrapped up in our jobs and, on the computers or whatever.
Yeah.
And I think we need to make ourselves be part of something.
Yeah.
And so for me, it's the church and my workout friends. And I probably push myself into more organizations because I know I need it. But there's too many people out there who are much by themselves.
Yeah. Yeah. My grandma was widowed at probably 55. I don't remember my grandfather. He died when I was like 4 or 5.
Okay.
And she was single for, 25 years. and very happily single. But she was Catholic, Italian Catholic, right? So she, I don't think she and my grandfather had a good marriage at all. And she traveled. She was living the life as a single woman. And then she met a man who had just lost his wife. They were both 80 years old and fell in love. And we're talking giggly, like holding hands, like teenagers in love at 80 years old.
Yeah.
And the reason she forced him to get married because he booked them a cruise with one bedroom, with one cabin. And she would not sleep with him unless they were married. At 80 years old. And he had been widowed a short time, kind of like you're talking about. And his family was not happy, believe it or not. Their 80-year-old father who found love, they were not happy that he was getting remarried. They thought my grandma was going to take his money, which she did not want his money.
Exactly. And that's what usually is the big question. Yeah.
Yeah. But so I see that.
Well, my grandmother, you remember my grandmother,
Yeah.
she was in her 50s. My grandfather was 11 years older.
Oh.
But she was in her late 50s when he died.
Yeah.
And she went on to build an apartment complex and manage it for a number of years. Then she moved to Hollister and she traveled and she did stuff.
Yeah.
And she died at 87.
Yeah.
And she told me at one point, she says, I'll marry again, but he has to be old, bad health, and have a lot of money. But she was financially great. I mean, she had no problems financially.
Yeah.
So she and I kind of look at myself like her. Okay, Grandma did it, and she was happy for the rest of her life.
Yeah.
And did what she wanted to do.
Yeah.
Have that role model.
Right. I really appreciate you talking to me. I just admire your strength. I don't know. I know there's probably a lot of other words for it. I think you're a good role model for me to see, like, somebody just out doing everything she can to stay vibrant, to stay social. Because I agree with you, like a lot of, especially the younger generation too, where you don't have to talk to somebody all day. You can be on your phone and you can, you think you're getting this interaction, but there's no substitute for human interaction. And I think you're living that. So.
Right. And the more remote jobs, my youngest, my daughter, Maggie, her job right now is remote.
Yeah.
And they moved to a new town, so she didn't know anybody.
Yeah.
And the remote job was helpful in that they moved, and so she had to deal with all the utility companies. Then they bought a house, and you have to do all that kind of stuff. But I've been impressed with her in that she has found groups to go do things with.
Good.
Through online, like a dating app, but it's finding friends.
Oh, that's great.
And so she's done that, and she's with a walking group now and stuff. And then her husband has a lot of friends, and so she gets involved with all of them too.
Yeah.
But you do. She realized that she needs to do more outside.
Yeah.
With other people because she can't just sit in her house and do her remote job.
Yeah, it's not healthy. I mean, I think COVID showed us that. How unhealthy it is for people to be just, I admire you. And I'm going to think joining some type of a group. I don't know if I'll do it, but I'm gonna research that because I think it's important, and I really admire that in you. I think that's great. Well, thank you again. Thanks so much. And so what I will do is thank you for joining me on today's adventure. Special thanks to my guest, Peggy Callahan, for sharing her experiences and time with me. And of course, a huge shout out to Chico girl Susan for her kind but honest views on aging. If you liked this episode or have a suggestion for a potential guest, please email me at gxtrustfall@gmail.com.